Hello, my name is Karl Welshman, and welcome to Spookers. Tonight's story, written by me, is called David and the Gnomes of Till. David was one of 3 brothers, but 2 of 4 sisters. He lived in a grand house in the middle of Berkshire, just south of Gwent. He was 26 years old with a face so wrinkled and fucking weathered that it looked like the thumb knuckle of an 80-year-old welder who hadn't stopped working a day in his life. A sociable fella, David would head out with his friends for a few pints of beer at least 3 times a week, with Saturday night being the one where the limits of his liver and blood were pushed to dangerous levels. Tonight, it was Saturday, and David was with his mate, Skanky Ricardo. They were at the Encrusted Owl. Skanky Ricardo would try and keep up with David, but would have to stop the moment he started defecating in his soft underpants or when his ears bled. But tonight, Ricardo stuck at it. It was coming up to last orders, and he was just sort of propped in the corner of the bar with David staring intently at him. "One for the road?" asked David, who was peeing into a pint glass vigorously like an excited fireman. The glass was dangerously full, but David pinched his bell end and stopped before any spillage happened. He needed to do this physically with his fingers, as he'd been born with a very baggy urethra. A lady on one of the other tables winked and began to do the same, but with a vagina and a functioning urethra. Ricardo smiled. His eyes were as red as Christopher Lee's version of Dracula, his silken shirt completely unbuttoned from the neck to his balls because it was so fucking warm. "I'm the roads?" he asked. David understood this as a yes and jogged to the bar, where he ordered 2 tall glasses of vermouth, 2 pints of Guinness, a 15-inch beef and Stilton pie, a kilo of dirty fries with extra damn jalapenos, a bucket of apple crumble, 2 mugs of thick coffee, a cheese board, and a tall glass of salt water. "They're gonna bring the rest over soon," said David when he returned to the table, holding the Guinness and vermouth. "I wanna see," slurred Ricardo. David noticed that his friend's face was sagging, but decided that this was definitely because he needed another drink and some food. "Here you go, mate," said David, as he grabbed Ricardo's fringe and yanked his head back. He tipped the vermouth into his friend's dry mouth, put the glass down, and flicked Ricardo's throat. Ricardo spluttered, but not a single drop of the vermouth escaped his cold blue lips, and before he could gurgle again, David tipped the pint of Guinness into there too. "Ah, that's lovely," said the barmaid, who was stood with the plates of food up her really fucking muscly arms. The barmaid's name was Nina, and she'd been working at the Encrusted Owl for about 6 or 7 months. Her son Jacob was a twat. She set the food down on the table in front of the 2 friends and then walked in a very casual way back to the bar where she served more people. "How you feeling now, Skanky?" David asked his friend. Skanky had died the moment he'd swallowed the vermouth earlier on, but the Guinness that David had put deep inside him had changed his status to permadeath. Determined to clear the table, David pushed half of the pie into his friend's mouth, and using his fingers, he teased the chunks down his dead friend's throat. "Ah, that's lovely!" shouted Nina from the bar as she wiped the glass with a very white towel. 10 minutes passed, and Nina declared that everyone needed to get the fuck out of the pub as it was closed. David had managed to not only get the food into his dead friend, but he also had changed his mind about his own food and to prevent waste, because this kid's starving in Africa, you know. He shoved that into Ricardo too, finishing up with a glass of salt water which was as cloudy as a UK sky. He kissed Ricardo on the clammy forehead, waved to Nina, and went back to his flat. It was the part of the night he always hated, leaving a dead friend in the pub and coming home to so much quiet solitude. His flat was small, but was perfect for him. The living room, kitchen and toilet were all in one open-plan space, and there was a separate room for him to sleep in. This was essentially a mattress with a balled-up towel, which he would use as a pillow or a duvet, depending on the weather. It was so warm tonight that it would be pillow. "Be good to give my neck some support," he said to himself as he stripped ready for bed. "Hello, David," came a voice from the toilet next to the oven. David squinted through his pissed eyes and saw a shape in the darkness. He switched the light on, and despite his drunk state, he knew exactly what he was looking at. Gnomes. "It's time," said one of the gnomes. David was about to turn and run, but he saw another gnome, but this one was floating in front of the exit. "No point running, David. Me and my gnomes are everywhere. Now get dressed. There is much to do." The gnome's voice was really fucking deep considering the size of the little guy. David put his clothes on, no probs, but then he went to put his shoes on. He hopped on one foot clumsily, his ankle snapped, and he hit his head hard on the corner of the skirting board. It had smacked so fucking hard that the top of his skull shattered like a stupid egg, killing him instantly. The gnomes then ate David's body,